United States said that 28% of Americans have experienced times when they haven't been able to afford medical care. A news organization randomly sampled 801 black Americans, of whom 38% reported that there had been times in the last year when they had not been able to afford medical care. Does this indicate that this problem is more severe among black Americans? Test an appropriate hypothesis and state your conclusion in the context of the problem. Assume all conditions have been met. Alright, so what's the null?
The problem is the same.
P equals 0.28.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I also wasn't sure to start with.
But yes, that would be that it's the same, basically. Alright, so then what's the alternate?
P is greater than 0.28.
Why?
Because we're trying to see if the problem is more severe, which means there's more of it.
Yep, more severe, so that's why we're looking at greater than. So, one prop z test. Notice it's one prop z test, not interval. Of 0.28 of 0.38 times 801, which if that comes out to be an uneven, like a non-whole number, you need to make sure you get rid of the decimal so that it becomes a whole number. And then 801 and greater than. I'm not really sure what is happening with this. What is going on?
So do we round up or down for that one?
Depends on what the number is. Like normal rounding rules.
Okay.
I think it'll be like 304-ish, somewhere in that range, based on what I have, but something like that. I don't know what the number is exactly, but that's what I have on my paper. But y'all can verify that that's correct. Did you delete off the decimal?
Did you put the multiplication in? Go back in, delete
So are we going for like P? Just regular P?
Yes, I want to know what P is.
0, basically.
Okay, 0. Now, we could do this with z-scores, but I would just use this calculator function because, way easier.
Wait, huh?
We could find the z-score and then use the z-table and all that stuff, but I would just use this.
So we're saying 0 because it's so close to 0.
Yeah,
It's a really
it's
small, 1.77. Blah, 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 times 10 to the negative 10 is pretty
Yeah.
small.
It's a really tiny number.
Alright, so it wants a conclusion in the context of this problem. So are we rejecting or fail to reject?
Reject.
So we reject the null hypothesis. Because there is enough evidence to suggest the problem of affording medical care. I'm gonna run out of room. Is more severe among Black Americans. I can't write it all. But anyways,
Wait, why are we rejecting? Okay, so the null was
because it's a small p-value.
okay.
P-value's low, so we reject. When it's high, we fail to reject. And this problem does continue on the next page, so. But the conclusion thing that it's asking for, or whatever on the next
So
thing
if
is
it's
different.
high, we fail to reject.
Yeah. So same as we did in chapter 20. It all stays the same. Josh, did they tell you how long it would take to restring your racket?
They said like a few days, but I do have two other rackets
business
that I can
days.
use.
Yeah, I was just
I got
curious.
rackets.
I think when I took mine out of business week.
You get on this page. All right. Explain what your p-value means in this context. So this is different than what we just answered. Assuming 28% have difficulty accessing healthcare.
Coach,
You can't
we can't really do that.
Well,
I just follow along with what she says
Yeah, me too.
and hope that it's something similar to what she's
I'm a
writing.
slow rider, so I can't keep up.
we would see a sample with 38% having difficulty or more extreme. About 0% of the time due to sampling variation. And that kind of makes sense because if the normal percentage is 28% and all of a sudden you have a 38%, that just seems very off for like statistical purposes. Without some really crazy outlier type deal.
I have a funny. So I went to write we, but I spelled it W-E-E.
It's like the piggy. All the way home.
I don't understand.
You don't know the little piggies?
What do you mean?
You didn't do that as a child either?
Were you locked in a room?
Little pig.
This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. And this little piggy went wee 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 all the way home. You never heard that?
He also didn't know what an anklet was today.
Okay, but
He looked at Laura and she had like an anklet on. She was like, "Isn't that supposed to be on your wrist?" And we were like,
Am I wrong though?
but the piggy things with your toes?
Yeah, the piggy thing's crazy.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Your parents
with-
never
it
mess
deal-
with your toes?
It deals with your toes.
The piggies.
Your what?
It's the big toe. This little piggy went to
I'm
market.
going to have a talk with
This
you.
little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. And this little piggy went wee 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 all the way
If she
home.
hasn't answered me, she might be dead.
Oh, that never happened to me as a kid. That's
I
never.
think it's funny that this is all.
You have
been
toes,
recorded.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That never happened with my toes. I don't know what to say.
I'm having a talk with her mother.
Okay.
But we're not about to do that to you at this point in your life,
Yeah,
so.
that's
Yeah, that's weird.
At first I thought you were talking about like the piggies and like the big bad wolf who blows down the houses.
What?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
know what we do, but
I
But,
do,
like,
but what's
Well,
the
like, how do
story?
you draw that conclusion?
Because that was the only thing from my childhood that dealt with piggies, from what I remember.
I don't know, maybe you just don't remember things.
all right. Is this a left tail, right tail, or two tail?
Right tail.
Why?
Oh, because we were looking for greater than.
So we were looking for more severe, right? Oh, I spelled tail wrong. Oops.
Well, you didn't spell tail wrong. It's just
Well, I spelled this tail wrong.
not the right tail, the wrong tail.
I finally have my ENT appointment. See if I need to talk Not during school.
I was gonna say, are you gonna do that during the school year? I feel like that's not a
No.
good idea.
No, I'm doing it during the summer when I can just.
She gonna go to college with no tolerance. Like new year, new me.
Do people get their tonsils out?
I said
They
new. You
snore a lot.
You will.
That has nothing.
I think that's your adenoids.
That,
Yeah. Do you have a deviated septum?
yeah, that has to do with your stuff. Like your.
Sometimes it's also just sleep apnea. So
Yeah. Where you just stop breathing in the middle of the night. Yeah. That's sleep apnea.
That's a
So
very
you do the
concise
CPAP
way of
machine.
explaining it.
So that you can keep breathing.
You know, I think my mom does that.
My dad has it. He doesn't use his machine.
has the machine or stops breathing.
Just stops breathing while she's sleeping.
My dad has the machine. He doesn't use it.
All right. A local newspaper in a large city wants to assess support for the construction of a highway bypass around the central business district to reduce downtown traffic. That was a mouthful. They survey a random sample of 1,152 city residents and find that 542 of them support the bypass. Construct a 95% confidence interval to estimate the proportion of residents who support construction of the bypass. So, for a refresher, confidence interval is the statistic plus or minus the critical value times the standard deviation of the statistic. But we have a lovely calculator function. Anybody remember which one it is?
Normal studio.
No.
One prop Z interval.
One prop Z interval. You know how I know that?
Because
Because
it's
you're
yours.
the-
Because you're a teacher.
Because it says I want to make an interval.
Oh, that makes sense.
Wow.
I thought it was because you're smart.
All right, it's going to be for 542, 1,152, and 0.95.
Oh, I forgot how easy the interval ones are to do.
I felt that.
That one hurt.
Sounded like it hurt.
Felt that one in my soul.
I did buy, like, you know how sometimes I like do the back cracking thing where I stand up, put one leg up, and go like this. Well, I did it in English, and Miss Patton was like, "Are we exercising?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, she
What did she say?
Sometimes,
Yeah, she said
guys,
10%,
sometimes
right?
when I crack my neck like this, sometimes I see my life flash before my eyes.
Yes.
Well, you're not supposed to do it with your hands.
Nathan, try not to.
No.
Because one of those times you're gonna go too hard.
Also, why you're not supposed to like sit in a chair and do like the back cracking thing, because you can twist too far and end up breaking your back.
How is that strong?
Oops.
You're supposed to do it by like actually like laying on the ground and flipping your leg over and rotating your body. It's like the
Wait,
safer way to
lay
do it.
down? You said lay down. Oh, I've tried that. It doesn't work.
Just gotta do a little dance on the
Wait.
floor.
I've tried this one.
Everything just popped.
Like this.
Okay, I low-key need to do that because my back is really stretched.
Wait, what? Like this
So flip, yeah, and then put your don't like bend it up. No,
Bend it up?
bend it, and then push your knee down.
She bending it like Beckham.
Oh! Did you hear
I did hear that.
Oh my gosh.
You're not doing it right.
Oh.
Turn, like, roll over, flip your leg over, and then push down.
This is chilling. It's not even.
No, bend. Bend your foot. Yeah.
Then-
Now push your knee down to the ground and leave your shoulder on the floor.
Nope.
I got
You didn't
one.
do it enough.
Now,
I got one.
do it again. I'll push your knee down for you. Oh, wait. That.
Yeah.
Okay.
Case and point.
Point 442 to 0.499.
I need a minute. That kind of hurt.
That's why we told you to do it the other way.
But now I gotta make it even so I get to
What?
Wait.
That's not it.
Gonna just collapse on us in a minute.
Can we just call it? How should we just call it 50%?
For real.
Okay. Based on the confidence interval, test the null hypothesis that the city prefers to keep the business district as is. So the probability that they don't want to bypass, right?
Yeah.
So the null, residents do not want to bypass. Residents. Now, did they give us a p-value? So what do we assume that it is?
50.5.
Yep, so p is equal to 0.5 or 0.50 is the null. So what would my alternate be?
0.5.
Greater than
Oh, but like,
Greater than, but what does that mean in words?
residents
do
want by bypass.
And yes, p is greater than 0.50.
Use the hypothesis test. Is that what it is?
Um,
Or not?
no, we won't need to. All right, so with this one, or well, I guess we could, but we don't need to.
Oh, okay.
So what do we know about this confidence interval?
It's less than 0.5.
Everything in here is less than 0.5. So what does that you think mean?
means we fail to check.
Wait, what's less than 4.5?
Everything in this confidence interval
Oh,
is less
it's
than this.
0.4.
Like,
Okay.
because that's what when you said, can't we just make this 0.5? I was like, no.
I see now.
So we fail to reject the null hypothesis because based on the confidence interval less than 50% of the population want a bypass. Bless you.
Thanks. I appreciate
All right. What is the significance level for this test?
Is that like the alpha level?
Any ideas?
Pace would drive a little hill. Love hills.
All right. So we were told that we were using a 95% confidence interval.
Yeah.
So how much is not used?
5%.
5%, right?
Look at that. Quick math.
However, this is a what test?
Right tail.
It's right-tailed, meaning I only care about this region over here.
Right.
So it's a right tail test or a one tail test. But this 5% is for 2, so what is my one tail?
Half of 5 percentage point.
So 2.5% or an alpha of 0.025.
What happened?
What's the matter with
Like,
well, cool.
Take a look.
It's gonna be like every day. It's just gonna be like
Just gotta make it.
waiting for it. Peyton's gonna be all lonely when we leave.
I know. What am I gonna do?
Come with us. I mean, it's not like you're gonna really be able to do much in physics, right? Without a teacher here.
Y'all leave early a lot?
Because matches are like at 4.
I mean, oh man, I'm so sad.
I mean, you might as well be our
To work on
mascot.
stuff. Mascot?
She's gonna do that. She'd just play.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she can like dress up as.
No, thank you.
no, thank you.
All right. What's type 1 error?
It's the false positive. Do I know
Everyone
how to
agree?
explain that over? I just remember the cancer one.
Well,
Thank
take
you.
it.
Honestly, that really helped me remember.
I said,
False positive would be what? Is the null true or false?
The null is
it's true.
false.
No,
Wait,
it's false,
wait.
but we think it's true.
But we think it's true. Or it's the opposite. I'm not sure.
Null is true, but we should get it. What?
Null is true, but we reject.
Oh, okay. So we, okay.
So type 2 is what?
False
False
negative.
negative.
Meaning?
Null is false,
False,
but we
accept.
fail to
Fail
no,
to
fail.
accept.
We don't accept things here.
I'm sorry, I just got in the rhyming. I just got in the rhyming, guys.
Null is false, but we fail to reject.
Yeah, Josh, we don't accept your answer.
Okay, wait. Get it.
What was the example for that one?
You have cancer, but they don't diagnose you.
R.I.P.
At least you won't be living in fear.
When Kenny was working at the Christmas tree lot, this lady walked up and he was like, "How are you doing?" And he was like, she was like, "Well, I've been better." And he was like, "Well, it's almost Christmas time." She goes, "And it'll be my last." He was like, "Well, really sorry about that." And she was like, "But you can't tell my husband." And he was like,
Don't worry, I won't.
"Okay."
I'm not just gonna go up your house and be like,
I didn't
"Did
ask-
you know your wife has
I didn't
cancer?"
ask for tramadol.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm all
Just
for
find-
trauma dumps for real.
I don't trauma.
I don't either.
I try not to.
But I'll listen to some trauma dumps.
All right. So, testing for Alzheimer's disease can be a long and expensive process consisting of lengthy tests and medical diagnoses. Okay. Yep. Recently, a group of researchers devised a 7-minute test to serve as a quick screen for the disease for the use in the general population of senior citizens.
7-minute test.
A patient who tested positive would then go through the more expensive battery of tests in medical diagnosis. Okay. The author reported a false positive rate of 4% and a false negative rate of 8%.
Is that good? Or are we trying
Well-
to find that out?
Basically.
Okay.
All right. Put this in context of a hypothesis test. What are the null and alternative hypotheses? So what's the null? And it's not a number.
Love
Okay.
That they have cancer.
That
Wait,
No.
this is Alzheimer's.
No. Huh? Very confused.
All right. The patient does not have Alzheimer's.
Okay.
How do, wait.
That's what's not changing.
Okay. It's easier when it has numbers.
Yeah, I
100%
agree.
Cancer, guys. That was pretty easy.
You're just thinking about it from our
Always
previous
fun.
discussion. All right, so then what's the alternate?
Having Alzheimer's.
Yep.
I accidentally wrote has instead of does not.
Patient does have Alzheimer's. It's also a hard word to spell. Anyways.
I know. I had to look up like 4 times to see if I spelled it. You okay?
Why are you honest?
Because I saw you like out the corner of my eye.
Oh, just
Nate had like
adjusting
a
my
mini seizure at
seating
one
I was like,
What did you do?
it's like going downward.
Oh.
All right.
Right in the track.
What would a type 1 error mean in this situation?
Oh,
That the
did
null
you
is true, but we reject it.
Did the patient
Like
does
they
not
don't
have
it.
Alzheimer's?
In the
or
context.
They say they have Alzheimer's. So false. Negative.
It's
Positive.
like-
Positive.
It's like you don't
So this is the 4% is the false positive. So this is the 4% one. The patient does not have Alzheimer's, but the test says they do. They get a second opinion and find out they're okay.
Or they don't.
Well, for it to be a type 1, it would have to find out that they're okay. I mean, there's nothing they can do for it. You just live with it. Like,
I hope I don't get that.
I mean, like best
You would
case
never
scenario,
know
if you
if you
do
don't
have it, you forget
Yes,
that
you
you
would.
have it, and then you
You'll
just
forget.
live
You can-
like you never had
That's
it.
what I say. You can know you had it, have
You'll
it
forget.
eventually,
Yeah,
but like
so.
when you get diagnosed, you're probably lucid and like no.
But eventually you'll forget about it.
Lucid is such
Well,
a lucid word, honestly.
There's no point in worrying yourself sick over it. There's no cure for it. It's like, might as well just live with it.
okay, what would a type 2 error mean?
Okay, so the patient does have Alzheimer's,
The
but the
8%.
test says they do not. So they get a second opinion and find out that they are not okay.
Best case scenario.
They did not get a second
They don't
opinion
get a
because they
second
think that they're okay.
Oh wait, that's true.
Yeah, because only the ones that
It said the ones that are
go
positive.
through more
Yeah,
expensive tests.
yeah, that makes
So
sense.
they just go on thinking they don't have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Then
Patient.
they forget they were even tested.
So the patient has Alzheimer's, but test says they don't. And they miss a chance to get treated. I don't think there's anything you can really do.
Really anything.
I guess there's things you can do to like keep your brain like sharper, but
Yeah, there's
Play
things
those
you can
board
do to
games.
slow it down.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta play those board games. That says it's
No
gonna help your
TV.
brain.
No TV.
It's mindless stuff. You'd want to do stuff that works your mind.
Well, what if I'm watching brain games?
I love brain games.
Or brains?
I have that as like an actual board game.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that was an
I
actual
haven't
one.
played it, but brain games. I've watched that show like several times.
Yeah.
I used to watch it while I was doing puzzles overnight. I'd stay up to like 3 a.m. working on puzzles, and brain games would be on just because I couldn't put the puzzle down.
That's literally what I do. If I start a puzzle, I'm finishing it that night.
All right. So which is worse, type 1 or type 2, and then
Type-
why?
Dose.
Why?
Because they
They don't
just
get
don't get
treated.
the chance to get treated. They think they're fine, but they're not.
You say that you're-
Type 2, they think they're healthy, but they're not.
I feel like in most medical situations, type 2 is gonna be the worst.
Yeah. It probably, I mean, I guess it kind of depends because, I mean, you don't want to be like,
Thinking you're
I guess because like you could hypothetically be told like that you have Alzheimer's and then they put you through the treatment without giving you a second opinion, and that treatment can make you sick or something like that
That
potentially.
treatment can give you all.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah, it's a little freaky.
Oh, that's a full stretch.
It's a scary thought.
power forward.
Yeah,
Mm.
forward,
We have
forward.
8 minutes.
Go.
We got this.
We can do it.
All right. A company manufacturing computer chips finds that 8% of all chips manufactured are defective. Management is concerned that employee inattention is partially responsible for the high defective rate. In an effort to decrease the percentage of defective chips, management decides to offer incentives to employees who have lower defective rates or defect rates on their shift. The incentive program is instituted for 1 month. If successful, the company will continue the incentive program. Write the company's null and alternative hypothesis. This one is actually numbers. We have numbers there we can use. So what is the null?
0.08.
P equals 0.08. So what's the alternate?
Less
Um,
than 0.08.
Why?
Because we
Because
want
we
less
Because they want them to
defective
get less
chips.
than that.
Yep.
Okay.
We want to decrease. So 8% are defective, just for reference for us. But this is all we're really looking for in this question. All right, in this context, describe a type 1 error and the impact such an error would have on the company.
Let's see, so type 1 error would be,
And this is in regards to the incentive program and everything.
okay, so type 1 error would be that they say the chips are defective when they're not. And so, like, the employees,
Or is it the other way around? Type 1
Or is
would
it-
say that
yeah, it's the other way around.
they would reject that it is defective even though it is.
Wait, can I do that?
But that doesn't sound right.
So 8% are still defective,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But they think that the incentive program is working, right? They think that
Okay.
the program is working and that they have less. So 8% are defective. However, the company thinks the incentive program is working. And thus, they might spend money on incentives that didn't work. I was like, my boss at Chick-fil-A used to want to reward us in the short term. I was like, I'd rather just get a raise. But instead I got tickets to the zoo.
Oh.
I would take liberties.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I want free money.
And Kenny's, when he said he was going to reward him in the short term, was baseball cards.
Oh, I mean, you can sell those.
It's
Not
good.
these ones.
Let's say they have to be good baseball cards.
I don't know, maybe you could still sell them to some little kiddies.
That's just
Go.
messed up.
That point you're supposed to do that.
All right, how about type 2?
So like, less than 8% are defective, but they don't
But
think
they
the
think
stuff.
they don't think the
don't
program's
realize
working.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So less than 8% are defective. Possibly as a result of the incentive program, but we don't know that, so that's why I said possibly. So the company might fail to run the program. even though it could be working. All right, last thing. Based on the data collected during the trial program, management found that 95% that a 95% confidence interval for the percentage of defective chips was 5% to 7%. What conclusion should management reach about the new incentive program?
It appears to be working.
Yeah. So I'm 95% confident. That 5 to 7% of chips are defective. So the company might conclude that the program is working, but we can't prove it.